And record.
Okay.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Humanity as Organism Thrives Convergence Room at Peace Week. And it's such an honor for Tom Applin and I to have this convergence room. And we were just discussing, have such conversations of evolution and growth, and you get to not just absorb it, but then assimilate it and make it part of your life. And in that spirit, it's a real honor to have Laura Lee. And Laura Lee is an Eisner Award-nominated cartoonist, teaching artist, music liberation.
Actually, no, I'm not. I think you've got the wrong blurb. Yeah,
Oh,
sorry. Yeah.
Well, you. Let me say what I know about you.
Okay, sure.
Well, I met Laura Lee through a friend of mine who took the Deep Time Leadership course with me, and we started talking about the universe. My question was, who wants to talk about connecting with the universe and just being in a space of connection and wholeness and how we interconnect with the whole world? And I discovered that Laura Lee has a process, and it's to do with very, very, it's called ecstatic dance. And just when she answered my email, she was so open and so filled with possibility of how can we collaborate on this? How can we bring this work to the world? Which was so amazing to me, because it's not discussed enough. It's not discussed how we can look at our interconnectedness with Mother Earth, with our fellow beings, with our universe. And Laura Lee gets to bring that. So Laura, I'm not going to give any more information about you,
Sure.
especially not information that's
Well,
wrong.
I think we are dancing with the universe, and one of the means is a process. There's so many processes, I have to say, to connect with the universe. I think we're just automatically connected. And we are practicing a process that was put back on the table by a late anthropologist, Dr. Felicitas D. Goodman, many decades ago. And we are looking at the ancestral means of doing this made current for our day based on our physiology. So it's called ecstatic trance. And I think trance is a misnomer. I think it's just a steady state that we have that we can dial in through our physiology. Her contribution was that we can connect with this by opening up our bandwidth by using a simple ritual. And people can liken this to a plant medicine journey or a shamanic journey, activating those neural networks that we have with our own endogenous internal biochemicals that respond to a simple ritual. I'm sitting in our ritual space, and this is a ritual about asking, a call and response to the universe. Universe, I see you as an intelligent womb of creation. I'm knocking at your door, because we have free will, to say, I hear, I open up, I welcome you, come talk to me, open up the bandwidth. And then we use a simple drumming with a gourd rattle or a skin drum. And that helps also this process of tuning in. We also hold a body posture, simple body postures. These are some of the simple body postures that we see depicted in artwork, ancient Paleolithic to Neolithic artwork around the world. And so this was a process that was revived by an anthropologist in her research some 50 years ago. And we find that this is an open process for everyone. We are gifted with a physiological design that our ancestors shared, that we shared. It's an earth suit with a built-in GPS, dial-up home that we can go to, dial up on demand, and have a journey, spirit journey, all within your own mind, but perhaps we're also just connecting with the universe at large. And so we have this dialogue. So we are connecting with direct experience. We understand that our ancestors honored more than the rational and the linear thinking that we so prize today with a fuller scope. We call this a state of a waking dream, where we in fact see in a laboratory, tests were done in the 80s at the universities of Munich and Vienna with Dr. Goodman. We find that these tests reveal a physiological response. Blood pressure drops, pulse rate rises. That's unusual. We have a huge surge of the beta endorphins of well-being, thus the ecstatic, or stepping outside our stasis, plus a lessening of cortisol and other stress hormones. And really interestingly, beta brain, which we're in now, is joined by theta, which is really the hallmark of deep sleep dreaming. So we call this the hybrid state of a waking dream. Accessible to everybody. So that's what I like about it. We're all empowered. We go there spontaneously as well. People often have these deep daydreams of inner reverie. That's the body going, oh, I need to go to that space. And we find spontaneous mystical moments. Our body, brains, mind, souls find such nourishment in this experience. Very healing.
Yeah, we're such a society who actually wants to just, you know, we so want something in the moment, like instant gratification, that we don't trust our bodies enough. We don't trust that we have what we need, whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, to just be in that space and say, well, I can heal, I can come back to center, I can bring what's needed.
And it's rather like sticking your finger in the socket of the universe, and you find this huge energetic download of life force. And with that comes information in just waves of bliss and joy and creativity and this revivification. So I think we're energy beings connected to the universe in ways that we don't even know or recognize, especially in this culture. What we do is normal. It may not be common any longer in our era, but it is certainly normal within our capacity of wearing a human body.
So what called to you about this? I mean, it's not something that one thinks, you know, just comes across one's path, because we're educated out of that trust and out of that connection.
Yeah.
So what
How did I
was it?
find it? Yeah.
Yes.
I was hosting a radio talk show that was nationally syndicated for many, many years. And I got to talk, as you are, with all sorts of thought leaders and innovators from all of the various disciplines. I just wanted to build out my own worldview. And the more experts you talk to that are really pushing the seams of the envelope, the more exciting the picture becomes, the more filled in that worldview becomes. And I was asking the question, well, who are my indigenous ancestors? We were talking with people from various traditions that had remained intact from time immemorial. As a Westerner, mine had got cut off at the knees some time ago. I didn't know who my indigenous ancestors were, but there was something there that I wanted to connect with. And one of our callers said, oh, you must talk to Dr. Felicitas Goodman, and she has an answer to this. So I called her up, and the story she told me about her research, her work, and her many participants in this from all over the world just rang a bell within me. So I walked into the control room where my husband Paul was, and I said, Paul, we're going to Santa Fe. We're going to our next workshop. And so he signed up, worked with her for the last 10 years of her life, and started teaching this in 2000, and left a really beautiful radio career to do this, be the directors together of this. And like yourself, I appreciate working with my husband closely in a shared mission. So, here we
Oh,
are. Yeah, a dozen years later, here we are as directors. So,
Laura, I wish I'd met you and heard your story about 2 hours ago. One of the I do a Thursday broadcast that really is gut brain, and I'm a
oh,
neurologist in a previous life, and
yeah.
I know a bit about ecstatic dance, and I almost went into sleep medicine actually, so I know beta theta in theory,
Ah,
at least, right? In theory, not in
yeah,
practice. And I'd love to hear one of your favorite success stories. May I share a story, an
please.
idea with you that I was trying to share on my broadcast that I think you probably have better words for? So we called it Food is Leadership and evolutionary bites. And
Oh,
my whole world is putting microbiome back together, putting gut health together. And I was an autoimmune specialist. I was an MS specialist. So autoimmunity is cured, cancer is cured, anything that we think is, etc. And I was playing with the idea that the bacteria each have a personality that also is evolving, and that
okay.
together there's a collective wisdom, and where we
Yeah.
can be, call it optimized. We're never really optimized, but part of being optimized is putting the um, the flexibility
Mhm.
as number one goal, right? Not necessarily the structure itself and the competence of the organism itself, but the ability of the organism to keep evolving. And therein, we bring ourselves to the collective. If we take sacred care, we bring ourselves
Mhm.
to, right? And when you said put the finger in the socket, I was thinking,
Yeah.
well, that's what sacred be with is all about. You said dancing with the universe,
Ah,
right?
yeah.
The whole dancing with the collective and whatever the narrative is, whether we agree with it or not, and being able to be with it.
Well,
So
go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that idea itself, and also if you have uh, a favorite uh, eye-opening, one of your
Journey that I can
clients,
recite? Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
sort of
Well,
changing his or her life. Yeah.
we have connections with the Deep Time Network, and just was talking with Brian Swim and my good friend Monica DeBras Bowles on their work as well, which is something that we directly experience what you're talking about in terms of this vision of the universe as the creative womb, and how it took 14 billion years of this evolutionary arc from coalescing atoms into stars, and the stars in their death throes giving us the heavier elements, and those elements combining into planets, and that planet, this one, growing a biosphere, and that this biosphere now produces us among the whole web of life. That really, that journey is our journey, and that the cosmos is our backyard, that the stars are truly our ancestors, that we have a personal relationship with the stars, the sun, the moon, the galaxy, and beyond. And then this is our direct experience in these spirit journeys, in this visionary language that spirit speaks to us, picks us up in this trance state, and takes us on these journeys to have us with her as she shows us all this myriad parts of our being beyond our skin. And you ask about a journey. One of my favorites is my good friend Barbara. This was one of her first journeys with us. People, for the first time doing this, can have a peak experience. And her journey started out where she is traveling, flying with a flock of geese. And we often find ourselves flying. Have you ever flown in your dreams? Very similar to that. She's flying with the flock, and they turn around to her and they greet her and they welcome her. And she feels such bonding and acceptance. And then she finds herself in a little forest dwelling, clearing, and one wolf after another emerges from the trees and sit around her in a semicircle and welcome her and call her part of their clan. And then she finds herself after that in a small cave deep in the womb of Mother Earth. And it's dimly lit. One snake after another coils around her. And at first she's afraid, like snakes, but they're very friendly. They sit and they welcome her. And then she finds herself back up on the surface under a glittering night sky. And she's feeling so welcomed at home, at one with the universe. And she's tearfully relaying this journey. And I said, "Oh, Barbara," I said, "you don't know what you've just been gifted with. You have just had an upper, middle, and lower world. That is so classic.
Hmm.
You've been welcomed by all three realms. And they have welcomed you and told you that you are part, you are one and part of them." And she just said, "I've never felt so comfortable in my skin." And she calls that her most sacred moment. And she's a Buddhist. And she said that this direct experience of befriending the elements of the universe, befriending the web of life, has made her feel so much at home in a way that she never had. So that's one of our journeys. One of the hallmarks of our journeys is flourishing, human flourishing. And what strikes most people is that no matter where in the journey you've been, you come out feeling more at peace, calm, accepted, loved, creative, emotional resilience. And so I thought, is that not our natural state? To feel at one with all of the microbiome and all of the at peace with, from the tiniest cells to the elements of the celestial bodies, that they're all singing the same song of the universe, and that we are part of her instrumentation, we're part of her symphony. That's the direct experience that we have over and over and over again in myriad variations on the theme.
Yeah, we have it that that sort of spiritual insight and resilience, as you called it, we have it that that's somehow a scarce skill set, but it really is. It's
A steady state, is it
who
not?
we
It's really
are.
the background hum of the universe, is the way I see it. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, that's tapping into flow, right?
Yes.
It's just something you more tap into, whereas, you know, there's a perception of achieving and it's not. It's just natural flow.
There. Yeah. Yeah, just there. So we have a group of anthropologists, Todd and Christine Van Poel out of the University of Missouri, that has been looking at our work and finding some pretty interesting phenomenon. And we've just published our first academic paper together now that's getting rave reviews, they say. But what they're finding is that what we experience, and Christine in particular, for the last 3 years on Zoom, when the pandemic started, we just took our work to Zoom, and it works beautifully. We have an open invitation to anybody wishing to try this in our regularly scheduled twice and thrice a week open sessions. It takes about 2 hours and to go through our process, though we hold the trance state itself for only 15 minutes because it's using up a lot of it's a high octane fuel experience, and then we talk about our experiences. But in viewing these over and over and over and over again, she will listen in a round circle with everybody present. They share highlights of their trance journey, spirit journey, and she'll often, especially if it's a Mesoamerican, which is her area of expertise, artifact that has inspired the posture we use, she can pull down a pot from her shelf and she can look at the iconography painted on it and its posture, and she'll go, "Oh, you and you and you. This is exactly what you've describing." Sometimes the exact geometric patterns that show up in our visions, she'll show it on our pot. And she'll say, "It's extraordinary that the experiences we share today in our here and now were very similar to the experiences that must have been shared by these ancestors of 2 and 3 and 5,000 years ago, because they've written in a symbolic language exactly how we speak of it today. We can only speak of it in rather a mytho-poetic language, a language of symbol. Those symbols show up to us again and again and again. And so, as Goodman would say, we're tapping into an eternal now. We're tapping into a different continuum of time and space that we can share, that we can talk with our ancestors, talk with, we say, the spirits, but really, what is that? That is whatever this intelligence wants to say to us as it brings us on a journey. And it's very akin to the hero journey. We cross a magical threshold, we meet mentors, we meet threshold guardians, which is really ourself. Sometimes we face a dark night of the soul, and we are receiving a gift, which we then, a lesson learned, an insight, a shift, this emotional flourishing, this emotional state of beauty and awe and wonder and oneness. And then we must go home again. We go back to our ordinary reality. And then we must share this with our community. And so we find we're filled to the brim, and that inspires us to just give out more love and light to our fellow man. And in our case, it's like, hey, did you know you have this inner capacity? You are being self-empowered by going direct to source. Come and drink of the life source, drink of the well. It's your journey to have. You can do this by yourself. Here's the instruction booklet. The spirits are your teachers. They're your friends. They're your mentors. We're just giving you the keys to the kingdom. That's, you find this door within. So that's our message. So there's more to us than we know. And it is so akin to this identity that the deep time and others speak of, which is we are really, truly ancestors. The stars are our ancestors. We are born of this magnificent universe. It has much to teach us and to gift us. So microbiome included. Aren't we wonders of inner technology? We're brilliantly designed. Yeah. In a holistic fashion. We are not ourselves alone. I think what we have more cells that are these microbes than we have human cells.
Mhm.
So we are really colonies. We are
Mhm.
really hybrid beings from the
Mhm.
start. Yeah. What a fascinating area of research. So
All right, how do I ask this? When you said, so they have their experience and they go back to their communities, and the integrating is the solidification of any habit, of course, right? So,
agreed.
right, they see a
Yeah.
brand new thing, and if they never talk about it again, it disappears, and they're back in their
Yeah.
game. And I help a lot of folks that way too. And if they're not willing to undertake okay, so how did you get here in the first place? Yes, I can help you today, but how did you get here in the first place? It's meaningless. So this might sound classic American. We're always looking for a small bite, easy consumer, consumer friendly. How do you describe it? Is this a practice? I would guess that this is a practice that you really have to experience. Is there such a thing as a small bite? I mean, when you said 2 hours, my first instinct was 2 hours. Don't cheat me out of it. I need 6 hours.
Understood. Well, in a group setting, we allow 2 hours, but you can be in and out of this experience in 1 hour or less. There's a bit of a ritual involved. And this ritual is so self-evident that we were invited to go to the Play de Tokyo in Paris a few years ago by a modern artist who wanted to take what we do and our ritual tools and make them an art exhibit. And so we did. We advised her on, here's our tools, and yes, here's how to make them authentically interactive so we can use them on a stage setting, her exhibit. And then we designed the choreographies, our ritual. It's really a dance. It really is an ecstatic dance. And so you're gesturing to knock on the door of the universe and say, hi, can I have a meeting with you? Let's have a phone call and an exchange. And so I guess what we did was the ritual was so people could read it, could read the elements of the ritual. Here's what you're doing. And they would we did a posture. We had a group of students from Parsons College that would perform the ritual with us. So we didn't stay in Paris 3 months, darn it, just about a month to do this, and they took over. But people were standing in the audience with us, holding the posture, whatever the posture was. And they were having experience, they told us, just in the short time of the ritual. Again, we only close our eyes with the shaking of a rattle for 15 minutes. The ritual is the prelude. Hello, knock on the door. The 15 minutes of rattling is what your spirit journey happens. And then we consider part of the ritual to be the journaling, because again, you are taking that vision. It's very fleeting, like a dream, and then you want to record it. And we find that when you record your dreams, those very profound dreams, they're honored, and you're laying down a pathway to remember them more clearly, right? You're paying attention to them. And so we record our journal. Some of my most profound experiences have happened just on my own, but we enjoy doing them in a group with all invited. So it really jumpstarts a conversation. We go around and we share the elements of our journey. And then there's so much to discuss afterwards about what happened and the cross connections and what it means and how to integrate it into our lives. What does this actually mean? What are the lessons involved and the insights? And we find the same themes show up again and again and again in myriad, infinite varieties. The universe is very conversant with us.
I'd like to hear you describe your definition, or maybe the undefining of what one perceives as ritual. I guess coming from, you know, being raised in a background of formal religion, and then coming to the place I am now, where I just connect. I'm an Akashic Records reader, which we all have that ability, just like you say, we all have that ability. And just being in the space of connection. So I don't use any organized religion or anything like that to connect to source, or, you know, all that is. And I'd love to hear your description of ritual, because I feel like I'm starting to be in a place where I can receive, you know, indigenous wisdom. It's never appealed to me before, just because of that mention of the word ritual. And there's a part of me that's like, I'm not going there again. And I bet you have people who feel exactly the same way. So I'd like to hear that.
Wow. I think ritual is theater, and ritual is creating a sacred space, right? The stage. And then we come dressed, we come creating the sacred space. We tend to clean it up and just put elements of nature on this stage. It's a focal point. And we come and we're in gesture. We smudge, right? We just take some energy, right? We're moving energy around. We're acknowledging this energy universe. And we just kind of, smudge. I know that when my father allowed us to come to his den and have a meeting with him, he expected us to be cleaned up. When we were kids, we had to brush our hair and clean up. We couldn't come like little scruffians that we were. We had to be respectful. We had to show respect. And so this is showing the spirit's respect. I wouldn't invite my elderly grandmother to my table without setting it nicely and putting out some refreshments, right, for her, some tea and a refreshment. And so we have a offering in this reciprocal relationship we have with the spirits. We use cornmeal or rice or sage or something to say, thank you. You are giving me a gift. I'm honoring one. Really is my attention, my gratitude, my respect is really my gift. And it can be done in a gesture. We gift exchangers, right? And so this is part of the ritual. The ritual also has to do with honoring the 4 directions. There's a beautiful Navajo prayer that also reflects this. Beauty before me, beauty to the right of me, beauty to the left, beauty behind me, beauty above and beauty below. I walk in beauty. And to me, that's signaling. It's saying, I stand at the center of this universe, and I am asking it to open up to me in all of its vastness, in all directions, to acknowledge that I am entering a space where the center is everywhere and the boundaries are nowhere. I am at one with the universe. It's a gesture saying that is our ritual. And you can say it silently or you can say it verbally. And then we give this honoring, really our heart energy. And then we have welcomed the universe to speak to us. In a free will relationship, we have to knock on its door, call in response, and it can answer back. It does answer back. And then we hold a posture, a simple posture, as depicted in these ancient artworks. We have over 100 that we've used that really we read as ritual instructions. And so we hold the posture, we have a drum or a rattle shaking really fast rhythmic beat. And somehow that just seems to lull the intellect or the doubting mind. It's lulling, like a baby is lulled by a rattle as well. We're soothed, we close our eyes. And it's interesting how we say we have a visionary journey, but we're so preoccupied in our physiology with vision. Dogs have much more a sense of smell. We have many senses, and we have senses that we know that wake up in inner realm in this journey, senses we don't even know. So we can variously at times experience vision comes in like in a dream, something other than your optic nerves are delivering a vision as in a dream. We can sense movement. We're journeying very fast. We're traveling down the tunnel very fast, or expanding or contracting, or simultaneously we can be a tiny point and as big as the earth simultaneously. It's really an interesting and palpable sensation. We can feel a magnetic pull down into Mother Earth. We can shoot up into the cosmos. We can hear sounds that are not in the room. We can hear flute or voices or chanting or wolves howling. We're hearing something that's not in the room. It's beautiful. Indicator of being deep in trance. We can feel really hot to the point of perspiring, or we can feel a cool breeze on our face, not in the room. And so when we are inhabiting this energy body, this dream body, the spirit body, it is doing things that we are also connected. Boundaries are dissolving. And I always tell people, no matter what happens to you in this journey, I promise you, when the rattle ceases after these 15 minutes, you will be delivered back to your physical body, safe and sound. But you will have come with this journey of being in communion with the divine in these ways that are gifted to you, that mean something to you. It's an exquisite journey tailored to you and what you may need at the moment. And then in a group, it seems there's these cross connections. So everyone's journey also has something to say for the group. Something else emerges that comes from no one's intellect. It comes as a gift to the spirits. So it gets to be very, very interesting and heartfelt and illuminating of our souls. So it's what
Have
keeps
you
us
ever,
coming back to the well again and again. Yes, Tom.
have you, so I certainly get the profound receptivity, and that can be individual or collective. I
Yeah.
get that the gifts are being brought. Have you ever had anybody suggest that they could actually take the whatever the novel insight is and give back to
Yes.
whoever was in need of communicating?
Oh, give back to whoever was in need of communicating. Tell me more what you mean.
Well, so I have this feeling of time travel. If we all really are holographically connected with both
Yeah.
skill and
Yeah.
deficit, even the ancient potters who put the symbols needed something. They were hungry as well. And is it possible that there's an insight here that could impact the rest
Previous
of the hologram?
generations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, indeed. Yeah. Okay. Then I will tell you the two sessions that just transpired in a group. We're hosting a group here right now. And had a woman who, here was her journey. I'm on a lake. I'm back to my childhood home. I'm on a lake and I see a boat and it wants to go to the distant shore. So I step in the boat and now I become the boat. And I go across the lake and I see my mother, and my mother steps in, and now I'm taking her back to this side, and I pick up a member of the family who died too young that I had never met. And now I'm taking them back across the lake. And now my mother is holding that child in her arms. And across the lake, I realize I'm taking them back to the realm of the ancestors. Both had passed away. And so she was very emotionally moving. And she realized that she was the psychopomp, the guide that had to help her mother's soul pick up this family member and return her through the family story. A member yeah. So here she was helping her lineage be complete. And then her next journey was a continuation, another family member. And so people who were lost in wars or lost can rejoin the family unit. And so the sense is that we get to ripple back the effects through our lineage. The healing that takes place for us that we do now ripples backwards and clears the path forwards. We get that again and again and again. We also get that there is this promise delivered to us in so many ways, this message of life, death, and rebirth. We live, we die, but with it is born this promise of rebirth. And so, yeah, we see that happen again and again. As we face the death of our loved ones, we're given this message that there's the grand wheels of time turning, and that they live again, they live beyond in the land of the ancestors, and they may take a new form, and they may continue with another rung of the great spiral, but they're continuing on. So we find great solace in that message as well. I guess I'm leaving out a lot of details because I feel that everybody's journeys are sacred. So I just need to give you the upshot. I can tell you about my own journeys, but if I'm recounting others, I'm leaving them. And also that we hear so many like that as well. So
It's some years ago, when I first started reading the Akashic records, I did a reading for a woman who I don't know what she was telling me. She asked me a question, I can't remember what it was, and I started telling her about how I'm seeing this picture of her, and I described a beach, and I described a rock, and also an inscription that was coming to me on the rock. And she said, I went to a retreat, and that was the inscription on the rock. And I slipped and I bumped my head against a rock, and she proceeded with, what happened, and we realized why this was coming up. But when you were talking about the pot, with the inscription, the symbols, and ancient symbols being carved, and then Tom was talking about, well, the whole relationship of whether we're here or the ancestors are here. I mean, there's no concept of really linear time as we perceive it, but
it's very fluid. Yeah,
right. And it just gave a whole different perspective, that you can say it in a different way, that wow, we just create change in the moment, and it affects all of time and all of that, all that is.
And sometimes when we're experiencing the all, it's timeless. Sometimes when we're face to face with the void, it's like the sea of all potentiality, the sea of everything, but the sea of nothing. It just gets really interesting to play with space-time in this way with direct experience. We just know it's more dimensional than we conceive of it. We experience it with many more dimensions. And I'm sure the Akashic Records, I would like to invite you both to sit down with me and talk about, what are the comparisons? What do you find in between our work and your work? Because I think this visionary state has so much to show us. And we're tapping in from so many different entry points, but we're finding the same thing within that, aren't we? Yeah.
Well,
So,
back to the sacred socket, right?
yeah.
Whatever people's walk through their journey is,
Yeah.
and they could not care a whit about anything spiritual, go to work, chop the onions, come on home. And
Yeah. Peel
but
through those layers. Yeah.
yeah, right. And but there's a subtlety and an unspokenness which I think underlies the sense of emptiness that people are feeling, because they don't know that sacred interface. And now all of a sudden, especially in the past couple of years, be even more well behaved, be even more siloed, be even more alone.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
we don't play with those disciplines. And there is I think there's a resurgence, and
Yeah.
we call it
We all
history.
want to go home, don't we? Yeah.
We all want to go home, but the home is not leave. The home is, as you're so brilliantly
Here.
describing, it's right here. It's all here. The whole place is Disney World.
Yeah.
That's maybe a bad
And
metaphor.
it's different than shamanism. Shamanism is a specialist. I will come and I will do my own spirit journey and involve you and heal something. What I like about this is that you are the shaman, you are the diviner, you are the divinee, you are the healer, you are the healee. This is you interfacing direct with nothing between you and the all. And the all has something for you, taking you on the journey to do your own healing, to do your own discovery of self. And these journeys are yours to have. They're all within the doorway. An hour's time to do this, the journey's short, but it's the processing of it on either side. And then the journaling. Once you start journaling, people are journaling and listening to the universe in their waking life, in their daily life. You've opened a bandwidth. It's not going to shut up. It's got so much to tell you if you pay attention. And so I think it's a useful tool in our toolbox, no matter what you're doing, to anything you can do to open up that bandwidth. I think the universe is very benevolent because it gives us so many openings. Find one that resonates with you. I don't think the universe cares which one you choose. Just open, pay attention, and sincerely want to dialogue. And it's all right there. I don't think you need a technique. But in our Goodman's premise was, hey, this is our natural state to be in dialogue. And she will cite anthropologists who would go to, say, early on, the Australian Aboriginal cultures, and find that while they're speaking with them, that elder is also listening to ancestors and other members. He's carrying on multiple dialogues. And that this used to be our state, but that the more that we progressed in our race to civilization, the more we specialized. You've got the kingship, you've got the priesthood who would say, hey, you can only get there through me. You've got the military, you've got the builders, the bakers, the farmers, the artisans, all these specialists. And so we lost ready access. It's quite dangerous to be self-directed. It's threatening to a society that wants to maintain control, perhaps. So to reclaim that heritage, I think, is a necessary thing. You're about listening to that universe so we can connect and heal our planet. And I think that's one of the avenues to do so. We're not getting the help from the powers that be so much. We need to also reclaim that power within and be self-directed by Earth herself to know how to heal her, how to do our job. And actually, Earth will take care of herself. right? She's done it over and over again through massive extinctions. She's got her own evolutionary arc. We're privileged to be on this spaceship Earth, and we're all crew, no passengers. We all have our job to do, but we're privileged to be in this boat on this journey through the cosmos. So our time is short here. So what is our job? Our job is to be responsible members of the web of life. Our job is to, as ancestors have done over and over and over again, write our relationship with ourself, our community, with the universe at large. I so appreciate the work that you're doing to call this forth and be in dialogue with all of this. Everybody who's contributing. Let's all hold hands and dance this dance together, I guess.
Oh
In
my
the
word.
world of calling it forth,
Yeah, we need to call it forth.
I
Yeah.
would guess you work with many very highly call it competent skill set, spiritual people with a legacy, people who already have a bit of practice. How do we speak this? Well, you mentioned the clinical trial, the publication earlier, to people who need permission to step away from the establishment or the social narratives, the existing, I call them handcuffs, but the existing structures. Do you have a favorite way of helping people just glimpse through the toy store window? And
Oh, such colorful language, Tom. I appreciate that. I like that. You're a poet in motion. Well, first of all, this is so readily accessible. People startle themselves by coming in just knowing nothing, because again, you're dependent on the physiology. We trust the physiology, we trust the process, and we trust the ancestral memory that your body knows how to move into this state just by doing the ritual. You can do it in your living room over Zoom. So no, we have people who have had I've done this for 30 years, people who've done this longer, but people for the first time. And most of our community are people who just found this work, right? And so you need no permission. It's an open call and it's free and easy. Just join any of our sessions and find them at queenmungeinstitute.com. Register, that gets you on an email list. You get the Zoom codes, and we're off and running. We will not tell you what posture we're going to choose that day. We want you to come in innocently with us, and we show you, instruct you. Here, we're going to hold this one today, and it's quite easy. So no expertise needed. We hold the expertise within. Again, we already all know how to speak this language. This language is more primary for us than the written and spoken word. Spirit does not necessarily speak English. It has a language much deeper within us, symbol and gesture and direct experience and downloads and all of that. This is really the language of spirit that we say, and we understand it when we are off on these journeys. We know how to decode them. Sometimes it takes a little conversation afterwards, but we know. And even if our intellects don't, this deeper part of us does get it. So I would say it's open as a remembering. It's as a temporarily going, quote, home. It's a homecoming. And it's a reminder on our journey that we're all one. And we have a great big family. I would say the colleagues that we have are the spirits around us, the elements, the ocean, the wind, the land, Mother Earth, the stars. To have a personal relationship with them is awakening what they have to share with us.
It was so interesting when you said that you said something to the effect of we all connect in different ways. Like we all have different ways of, relating to it, speaking about it, but really it's the same connection. And I immediately thought of, so I took the Science of the Noosphere masterclass, and the one thing that really struck me is that, we have an opportunity, instead of having the spiritual realm and the science realm and the whatever, Barbara Marx Hubbard's idea of, the wheel of co-creation, right?
Yeah.
Now, just taking the fact that we all connect in whichever way feels like it, we relate more to it. Imagine if all of us had to go into a wheel of co-creation and listen to each one's language describing that connection, and it deepens that connection for us, because new language always causes growth and evolution.
Yeah.
And it just evolves our not abilities to connect, but our knowing of our connection. And
Indeed.
it's so powerful. Yeah, we need a wheel of co-creation with everyone who connects in these different ways.
Yeah, it's like all weaving our threads together into this tapestry and seeing all those cross connections. So let's do it. Are you going to sponsor a wheel and we'll all share our stories and let's create that dialogue? You know, what strikes me over and over again is that we have so much in that noosphere. Now we have this global conversation going on. And I wonder sometimes, what are the lyrics? What are the messages? What's the underlying story we're telling ourselves? And so I love this idea of this third story, this new story, this next chapter emerging. And we all need to sing a part of that song. And I wonder, the lyrics in popular music, the mission in the games that we play, the whatever games, the dramas that we watch, the films that we watch. What are we saying? Who's writing this new content so that on a grassroots level, we're all understanding the emergence of this new vision of who we are as galactic beings, as dutiful members of the web of life, reclaiming our place, being there for the entire web, including the microbiome, from the tiniest to the largest. What is the story? We're supposed to be the scribes and the storytellers for this planet. We need to step up and do a better job, right? We need to tell this story that wants to be told. What does Mother Earth want of us? She needs this new story to be told. So I appreciate all that you're doing to help the threads of the story connect up. So.
Well, Laura Lee, please would you just tell the people who are here and even the people watching the replay how they can get hold of you, and
Oh, yes, thank you.
about the Kumangay Institute. And
Yeah, I mean, imagine a little institute being saddled with that word you can't even spell. And so it really means a place name. It was born of the place where Felicitas Goodman founded her institute and its facilities. It was near a place in Santa Fe, New Mexico, means place where the rocks shift. And we go, that's so appropriate. We experience these amazing shifts all the time in this work. But my husband, Paul, who's the director of the Cuyamanga Institute and its executive director, he got a website, CUYA, the first four letters of Cuyamanga. For those of us who, it's a hard one to spell. It's just an odd place name. CUYA.com. And you go to the Institute, Cuyamanga Institute's website, and you'll find invitations to register for our various free and open Zoom events on a weekly basis. And two of them are open sessions. So we have Wednesdays and Saturdays. And we also have, for people in Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, and those who want a later time of day, we have an afternoon session. So we have several sessions to join. We also have a Sunday conversation for exploration, which I would like to invite you to join us as our guests, because I want to hear more about your work and where we have some cross connections. That dialogue, because as you say, Tom, you go in and you have these journeys, and then you need to talk about, well, what does it mean in the larger sphere? In terms of archaeology and art history and neurobiology and psychoacoustics and history and living mythology. There's so many insights that we have to sort through. When the universe speaks to us, it's really about our whole worldview And so we collectively, because we love to build community, sort this out. So we have people listening in our audience who don't do the work, but are interested and speak the same language of who are we? Where did we come from? Where are we going? And really, what is this journey about? And we find it so fun to talk about in myriad ways. So please come and be our guests. We have openings in November. So we'd like to schedule you. So that's what we have as an offering. And also an in-person workshop, which we're doing now. So you can actually come out to Sedona, which is where we live, and now do this work. So.
Oh, okay. If I have to come to Sedona.
Oh, please. Yes. Come. Yes. So I'm intrigued by the Akashic records. What is that really? That's part of the noosphere, because all that humans have lived and done and our connection with the greater whole, it's written. That makes so much sense. And we can read those records, right? They're written energetically and in the ethers. Yeah.
And people, different Akashic Records readers would describe it in different ways, and some people will really communicate with certain heavenly beings, and we're all from different belief systems and so on. So, like for me, all that is all that is, and there's no separation, and it doesn't matter what we label it as and what name we call it. So it's just the connection to that grid of knowledge, that divine knowledge, and it's everything and anything, and that's the way I describe it.
Thank you. That is very akin to what Dr. Goodman would say. She would say that she avoided the isms. So she would say, we have no belief system. There's no dogma here, because that which you connect with is teaching you what it is. It's not for us humans to try and contain it into little boxes. It is that direct experience is its own best teacher. And this is the book upon which it wants to write its story and verbalize its story. It needs us as much as we need it to verbalize and tell its story. And so let it be what it is. It will surprise you continuously. So I appreciate your description. It's beyond words. Yeah. Truly, when you touch the ineffable, her description of the divine would also be when we touch something larger than ourselves, then we know that we are. And that's why she liked the word ecstatic, not the street drug ecstasy. No, this is an academic anthropological term way back to even Mircea Eliade, right? And others, some of the first anthropologists describing these states. Ecstatic, ecstasis, stepping outside our normal ordinary reality into the extraordinary reality, like Joseph Campbell describes, crossing that threshold into these magical realms. Then you know that you are with the divine. So thank you both.
Really wonderful.
What a great team you are. I appreciate meeting you and your community. Thank you. I'm going to partake of all of your offerings when posted. So thank you for doing the work that you do, and thank you for letting me be a part of it. So
thank you. It's been an honor, Laura Lee.
It's been an honor here. Thank you. Thank you to those watching. Yeah. So, okay.
Okay, I will praise.
Many chapters